What's up, guys? Welcome back to yet another riveting episode here on the Avion Awesome channel. And in my quest to find some interesting but also useful and also practical heating solutions whilst running on battery power, if you're boondocking or any other type of situation where you're not hooked up to a power outlet, the grid, so to speak, I went back to Walmart and I found something kind of interesting. So I figured I would try it out and see how it goes. Okay, so what did I find? I found this little guy. Let me make sure that I get the English side. I found this. This is a 250 watt ceramic heater. Now, you might be saying to yourself, Mark, 250 watts is not that powerful. And I agree. I 100% agree. Most of your standard space heaters are 1500 watts. And that's pretty awesome, you know, especially for a smaller space. If you're going to be, you know, let's just say living out of a car, you know, more than enough. If you're going to be in a van, more than sufficient. But when you're getting into this big of a space, you know, roughly, I don't know, I'm going to say 20 feet, maybe all the way out to 30 feet, you really kind of need two of those type of heaters. And unfortunately, in these smaller style travel trailers, you can't run two. The wattage would be way too high. You'd be well over 30 amps and you'd probably pop your breaker every single time. So I figured, you know, this is the smallest heater that Walmart had. This is the smallest wattage power-wise that Walmart actually had. And I thought, you know, this might be an interesting device to kind of test out, especially if you have the capacity, if you have the ability to maybe like slide this under your bed and kind of trap that heat in. If your bed is on a platform, it probably won't work, but I mean, I guess it could. But that was my thought for my particular situation. I've got this bed over here and I can actually put stuff underneath of it. I can even do it back here on the twin bed if I want. It's got basically wide open space. I can shove one of these 250 watt heaters inside of there, and it should help eventually permeate up and go into the mattress where it would hold in that heat, and then it would just provide some extra warmth during those extremely cold nights. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so it's super cute. So if you're into cute stuff, I think they had like 2 or 3 different colors of this thing, but it has all the safety features that you would expect. Tip over safety switch, overheat safety fuse, and a cool touch exterior. It only has one heat setting, so it's basically an on and off switch. And it's 250 watts, and it also has a power light indicator. So this light, or this switch lights up when it's turned on, and it goes off when it's turned off. It's got a ceramic heating element, ready to heat, and it's got a 1-year warranty. So, you know, if you absolutely, you know, are worried or concerned about some of these electric heaters maybe overheating and catching stuff on fire, this, even though it's small and relatively cheap, it's got plenty of safety features built right in. So this little guy was only $12.50. I think technically it was $12.44, and with tax it was a little over 13 bucks. So extremely cheap, easy to replace. You know, you could buy several of these and, you know, never really feel it. Oh my God, look how cute this thing is. It's so tiny and small. So, you know, smaller than, you know, a medium-sized hand, you know. It's only got this one heating element right here in front. This is the front switch. Pretty simple operation. And here's the tip-over switch. So it's kind of I don't know, it's kind of squishy. So, I mean, if it even tips over a little bit, this thing is going to get shut off. So, I guess that's pretty good. Like I said, it's 250 watts, so, you know, it's not that hot. It's not going to do much damage either which way it goes. So, I'm going to plug this guy up and see what kind of fan is built in. I'm not expecting much out of a little heater like this, but we'll find out and see. All right, so I got it plugged in, and we're going to flip the switch, turn it on. All right, it's blowing. All right, so my hand is about 1.5 feet or 2 feet away. I can barely feel it right here. If I move in about 3 inches, I can feel it much better here. So there's a foot, probably about 1.3 inches, maybe 1.5 feet if you're really sensitive, I suppose. So again, I figured that it probably wasn't going to be that much of a blowing machine, but I don't, for my purposes, for what I was thinking that I might use it for, not really all that necessary. The heat is pretty good. It's not like overwhelming or anything. So, and as far as it being tipped over, like I'm just going to barely tip it backward. So yeah, I barely got it up off the ground and it shuts itself off. You can see the light shutting off right there. Yeah, it doesn't take very much whatsoever. That switch is super duper sensitive. But yeah, as soon as you set it back down flat, it's got enough weight that it automatically turns itself back on. The heating element fires right back up and the fan starts to blow again automatically. So while I'm evaluating this, I want you all to kind of keep in mind why you would want to get maybe something as small as possible. 250 watts doesn't sound like a whole lot, especially for a household appliance, because this thing has a house power plug. 250 watts basically equals, you have to divide that by the voltage. So this is a 120 volt plug, so that comes out to roughly 2 amps to run this device. So in household terms, it's pretty damn efficient. You know, it's very, very low draw in the grander scheme of things. Now, when it comes to battery power, especially if it is a 12 volt battery, you basically have to times whatever it uses in the house by 10 if you're running on a battery. So if it's 2 amps in the house at 12 volts, it's going to be 20 amps. Now, 20 amps is quite a bit, especially if it's on a standard, say like 12 volt golf cart style batteries or whatever. That power draw, that 20 amp draw, is going to be pretty heavy for your batteries. Even at 20 simple amps, it's going to be quite a bit. The thing that you have to keep in mind, though, is that when you have lithium, lithium doesn't really suffer from voltage sag nearly as much as flooded lead acid batteries do. So that voltage sag, it will dip some, but it won't be nearly as bad as standard car batteries. But it's still going to be 20 amps. That's a lot of power. Most people are maybe only carrying around a couple of 100 amp hours of battery. So let's just say it's on 200 amp hours of lithium batteries. At 20 amps per hour, 20, 40, 60, 80, that's 160 amps total out of your 200 amp hour battery system just for one night of this little guy. Unfortunately, that's the reason that most electrical heating elements are just not feasible for most people that are trying to live and dwell in a vehicle. Either they don't have the space for the batteries, or it is such a drain on the batteries that it might take way longer than a winter day might be able to provide in terms of sunshine in order to recharge those batteries up and still have enough power to do other things like turn your lights on or recharge your phones, tablets, and laptops. But my plan is, since I am currently connected, I thought, because I can't run 2 full-size space heaters at 1500 watts, maybe I will just take this little guy and I will stick it under my bedding. I know, sounds like a horrible idea, but because of the safety features and the overheating protection element and everything, I've got enough clearance because this thing is so small and so short, I'm not even that worried about it. I'm going to kind of show you what I've got, what I'm working with. So, this is the bed, and this is the queen size bed, and it's got this large opening underneath here. Basically where you lay the slats for the bed across one side of the dinette to the other. Well, I've got all of that space underneath there, and it's pretty deep. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this, and I'm just going to block it off so that all the heat that goes underneath the bed just stays there longer, so that it actually warms up my bed. And on AC power, because like I said, I am on AC power, I'm just going to plug it in over here, and it will take a total of 2 amps, and that's it. I'm on a 30 amp circuit in this particular camper, and my regular space heater, it's a 1500 watt space heater. So in AC terms, that's 12.5 amps, and I'm only on a 15 amp plug, so I'm not actually plugged up to 30 amps. So if I go too much higher than what this thing puts out, I'm going to trip probably the household circuit, because most household outlets are only 15 amps. So this puts me right at about 14.5 amps with literally nothing else running. So during the night, that should more than make sure that I don't trip the breaker on the inside. You know, that would suck. In the middle of the night, having to get up and go find the breaker box, you know, and wake everyone else up in the house, especially if you're mooch docking, if you're staying in someone's driveway. That would just be horrendous. And then you would definitely have to fire up the propane and stuff like that. So my plan is to take that and jam it underneath the bed and see how the whole thing goes. I've been using that heater now for like 2 days. And the air around me is still so cold at night, man. These windows are so drafty. But inside my little bed bubble, like, I've still got the electric blanket that I'm using. And honestly, it has been pretty good over the last couple of days. It does provide like this sort of like barrier of heat over top of me. The heater underneath the bed, like, I don't even have this on like during the day. I just leave that heater on probably about an hour or so before I get in the bed. And then I turn the electric blanket on like right before I lay down to go to sleep. And then I just leave my space heater on all the time while I'm plugged up. And I will say that it does provide some extra heat. All of these things in combination are totally good if you're plugged up. This right now is the only thing that I'm running on 12 volts. So, yeah, I tried using the small space heater on my batteries, and I just feel like it draws too much. 20 amps per hour is just a lot of extra battery power that in these colder areas, like, it is just not, it is not efficient to burn through 160 amp hours just to say slightly warmer, because my batteries haven't been recharging all the way back up. So I think that if you're on a 30 amp circuit, and then if you're mooch docking, you're obviously only on a 15 amp circuit, the little heater might be a good compromise in order to get a little bit of extra warmth for the night if you're staying in a cold area. That way you're not necessarily running two. But yeah, it's not going to be useful if you're going to try and run it off battery power. I just don't think that if you're up too high north, you're not going to have enough daylight hours in the day in order to recharge your batteries back to full. So anyway, it was $12. As long as you're plugged up, I think it's useful. I don't see it being very useful on most people's solar systems at all. At this point, I'm thinking that maybe just running the propane heater really is the most efficient way to stay warm overnight if you're boondocking. I really do. Or a wood-burning stove, but most people don't want to alter their campers and put in a wood-burning stove, so I really don't know what the best solution would be at this point. So if you guys have any suggestions for me, just, I don't know, leave them down in the comments. Like, if you guys have actually figured out anything better than what I've been, like, my train of thought has been so far. So at any rate, thanks so much for watching yet another riveting episode here on the Avion Awesome channel. I'm your host, Smart Puckett, and I'll see you guys again on the next one. Peace.